What's up, YouTube and fellow Ottomans enjoyers? I think I've seen in the comments a request for like a build order against English, where you don't, which is like a more detailed explanation into the build order against English, where you don't go early military school. So that's what we'll be going into today. Be a pretty quick video. And not only I'm not gonna just talk about the basic build order against English, but I'll also talk about like my strategy against English a little bit, just because I know people struggle against English, and everybody plays English, especially in lower leagues, so you have to deal with English all the time. So, yeah, you don't want to build the early military school against English. We'll talk about why that is real quick before we get into this. So, you don't want to build the early military school against English. Some of you this might be obvious to some of you, but just explain it, because the English villagers shoot arrows, and the spearmen aren't going to do any damage. But on top of that, like, it's not even, like, it's still not a good idea, really, to, like, I used to think this was okay, but it's still not really a good idea to build the military school and just keep the spearmen in your base, because it's not likely the spearmen are going to be useful. Now, the thing is, if they go, like, Abbey of Memes into a knight, then you'll be happy to have the spearmen, but it's kind of like a gamble. And I think more players just play with the Council Hall. It's the easier landmark to use. And now that it pumps crossbows and Castle Age, it's just really strong. I mean, it's always been strong, and now it's even stronger. So to start the game, always build your villagers first. Then put your villagers straight on the sheep. We're not going for early military school, like I said. So don't go out to the stone. And we'll go 7 on food, and then we'll go to 3 on gold. And it's important to build your house with the first villager that goes to gold instead of building your house with a food villager. But hear me out. If you mess that up, if you start building your house with a food villager, it's okay. Just go 8 on food at that point. Otherwise, you won't have enough food for feudal. But the fastest way to get feudal is the build I'm showing you, where you build the house with your gold villager. But I mess this up all the time still, so like, sometimes I accidentally build the house with my food villager, I notice that I do it, and I put another one on food. And that's all there is to it. Just move on with the game. But yeah, the best way, build your house, 3 villagers on gold, and then you'll go on to wood from there. Here's the view where you can see my villagers, so 7 on food. And yeah, this is just against an AI, so. So, yeah, I just played this against the AI just to show you guys the build. So let's talk a little bit about how we want to respond to what English does. So, you'll want to scout the landmark, like, when English starts building it. We're pretty far out from that, I guess, so I'll just let it keep playing. I might speed this up a little bit for a second. Yeah, you're just putting villagers on wood at this point. And, when you start getting close to 200 gold, you can force return this and pull these villagers to wood. But, you want to scout the English landmark when it comes up. You need to know, like, for sure if they went Council Hall or Abbey of... You need to know. You always want to scout, you can't just assume that they're doing one thing or another. So, you'll build the landmark with your food villagers, and then you want to go up to, like, 6 villagers on food, because otherwise you won't have enough to keep producing villagers, and also you're going to be probably producing horsemen, especially if they build Council Hall. So, yeah, and this guide I'll be showing you how to play against Council Hall. If they build Abbey of the Memes, or Kings, sorry, we used to call it Abbey of the Memes. I mean, it still kind of is sometimes, but if they build Abbey of the Kings, you're going to go for Spearmen instead of Sipahi at first. So, just build the barracks. But yeah, this build will be based on playing against Council Hall. So at this point, I'm running my scout down here to check for a landmark. Well, I'm looking for his base. I haven't found it yet, but I realize it's not over here. There. So, yeah, at this point, once you get to 6 on food... Well, I guess I went to 5 on food in this build. Well, I think you could go to 6 on food. I went to 5 in this video, but you can go to 6 on food, then you want to get 2 on stone, or 3. It doesn't matter too much. The point is to pull off of the stone, though, at the right time. So, I've been going 3 recently. You can go 2 as well. Either one's fine. The point, though, is, like I said, you don't want to over-gather the stone. But, in this game, we'll actually end up going for a second town center. So, I'm not going to over-gather the stone. So, at this point, it's important to react to what English is doing. I've already scouted the council hall. I'm bringing my sheep back. And then you want to have your scout somewhere near the council hall. More likely that, you know, a player you play against instead of the AI will build their council hall forward. That's the better way to do it. So, yeah, you'll want to scout the council hall and look for the first couple longbows coming out. And see if there's a barracks as well and all of that kind of stuff. But, yeah, you see, I hit Feudal Age and I'm pretty much immediately building this stable. It's really important to... That's the main reason you want to... Not the main reason, but another reason it's important to rush Feudal against English is because the English player rushes Feudal and gets out military, and you built a military school, so your Feudal's coming in slow. You can be in a world of trouble when the first couple longbows and spears show up, and you're, like, just hitting Feudal. So, it's better to just rush Feudal Age, and go ahead and drop your stable right away. And then you can drop an archery range behind it as well. If the English player built barracks, they usually do. The smart thing to do is the English player, at least, is to build council hall and barracks. From this point, you really need to, so this is the AI, so he's not going to push me, so I'm not going to be able to, like, show you how to defend the English push or anything, but, you know, you just need to make a couple Sipahi and a couple archers, and you need to scout what the English player is doing. If they're continuously producing units, then you need to continuously produce units for the time being, and maybe you can get a second town center slowly, and just leave 2 or 3 villagers on stone. But if the English player is going fast castle or going for a second town center, you can also go for a second town center after you defend the initial units from the English player. And that is a pretty common build nowadays for English, is to push you with like 5 units, like 3 longbows and 2 spears or something like that. And it's just a distraction for them as they go for a second town center. So it's really important to scout what the English player is doing and respond to that. In this game, we're going to assume that the opponent goes for a second town center. They don't, it's an AI. But I really like to get a second town center at some point against English, because if they go for an early second town center, you need it to keep up with villager production, and if they just go, once they hit castle age, they're going to have another town center as well. Most of the time, unless they go for a white tower. So I think to get a good advantage on English, it's just good to at least keep up with their villager production. You don't have to go for a third town center if they go 2 TCs into King's Palace. Your military schools can make up for that difference. But it's important to get at least 2 TCs if English is going 2 TCs. Now, like I said, if English is all in you on 1 TC and you think they're just making units, then that's okay. You don't have to go for a TC at that point. You can just make units to defend and try to counter push. So how do you know, we'll talk about real quick, how do you know what they're doing? How do you know what they're doing? You need to put your scout, first of all, near the council hall to see how many units they're producing, but you can also check the gold. If they have 4 or 5 villagers on gold, they're probably going for castle, or 6. And you also need to check their stone. If they're mining stone, they're clearly going for a second TC. So, stone's right here, gold's right here. You can check all of that really quickly with the scout, right? Normally the council hall would be here too, so it's all in the same spot. But it's really important to know what your opponent is doing so you can respond to it. Now, from here, I'll just talk to you a little bit about my game plan against English. I think, for me, what I like to do is try to survive any kind of feudal push if that's what they're going for. If they're not going for that and they're going into Castle Age, I'll just kind of follow them into Castle Age. I think Castle Age is the best point to attack English, and what you can actually do in the Castle Age is they will run out of this gold mine, so they'll have to move out onto the map, which for the other resources they don't really have to do that, right? The wood lines are close to the base, and they build farms all around their town center. So the best way for me to deal with English, what I like to do is just constantly pressure their gold, and when they move out, try to catch them on these other golds and kill their villagers, and that's where you'll take the fight. You can also like split off a couple knights to raid into their farms and kill them in Castle Age. I generally just try to kill villagers and keep them in Castle Age, and then kind of eventually go Imperial myself. But you can do it so many different ways. That's the beauty of Age of Empires 4. If you want to go for a big siege push, siege is really strong against English. It's actually can be really important against English. If English is building a bunch of keeps, you might have to go for a big siege push. So, but personally, I like to just kind of keep the pressure on, and yeah, catch them before they get a bunch of keeps down. Just start constantly harassing in different places and keeping them off of gold, while I continue to be able to mine gold and make gold units. So, yeah, this is probably the point where I stopped the build. Well, I mean, the video still goes on from here, but there's not much else to say. Yeah, you can see I'm getting the stone for the town center right now. And, I'm about to just kind of put pressure forward on the English players since they never attacked. I mean, it's an AI. So, yeah, I just, go attack the gold. Like I was just telling you, I just go attack the gold. So. Villagers out here, this is never gonna happen. It's silly. So, yeah, it's an AI. So, like I said, there's not much point in watching this out. That's how I like to play against English. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for all support. And, yeah, have a good one. Hey, YouTube, there's one more thing I wanted to say real quick about playing against English, and that's, like, the unit composition I like to go for in Castle Age, because I don't think I quite mentioned that. I usually would like to go for a bunch of stables and to, yeah, knights and crossbows. The knights are good against longbows. They're decent against crossbows. If there's a big mass of crossbows, though, they'll snipe out the knights pretty easily. And they're good against men-at-arms. And then crossbows are good against men-at-arms and spears. And, yeah, and you'll get the free mangonels from the Castle Age landmark. You should be going for the free siege landmark. So, yeah, and the other thing that I forgot to mention is the placement of my minaret matresse. I don't think I quite mentioned that in the video, but just pay attention to where I place that minaret matresse. It's really important against English, because the place that I place it, which is to the right of the town center, is where your villagers will be, like, the furthest away from longbows. So that's really important against English. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and mention those couple things. Thanks again for watching.